I'm 16-Bit Jeff for the Geek Fighters. Jerry of, also known as Firecast, wouldn't be joining us today, but there's been a little IRL stuff that's going on, and so he sadly won't be joining this week. Well, he'll be back next week and the weekend for the continuous streams on our end. But join me as always for Yakuza 0 Episode 4 is our third amigo, Goro RPG.
Yep. The IRL stuff we will not get into, but we're not here for bad stuff. We're here for some happy times, and what better way to have some happy times than to play some Yakuza, right?
And our fourth official, unofficial member of TGF, Visible Ninja.
Hey, folks.
Yeah.
So, yes, and in the previous episode, I guess we were helping out some homeless people on the streets of Kamurocho.
Because we're trying to figure out what they're entitled to in regards to... Because the last one, we were trying to get various strings for them in order to find information in regards to their connection with them, the other homos around,
and the murder.
Yes.
Yeah, and the murder that Kiryu did not commit.
Exactly. So since this is all taken care of, we can, continue the game, which is good.
Awesome. So, how's everybody doing on this fine, lovely Saturday?
Good.
Good.
and right when we start, we run into Bacchus.
Oh, I see. So, Speedwagon.
Yeah.
Speedwagon.
You mean totally not? Yeah, totally not Speedwagon.
The poor old Speedwagon who does not possess the power of Hamon.
Yeah.
Which I'm actually getting very excited to watch season 3 or story 3 of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure when it hits Netflix.
Yeah, the best. Stardust, yep.
Oh, yeah, Stardust Crusaders.
Yeah, I think it includes both Stardust Crusaders as well as Battle for Egypt because I think they're two... I mean, even though they're in the same story, but they're two separate storylines within that same story.
Yeah.
That's pretty much how it works up until like part 7.
Oh yeah, because of the whole alternate timeline or alternate universe.
Yeah, because Steel Ball Run, it's like an alternate timeline, and so is JoJo Lion, JoJo Leon, whatever you want to call it.
JoJo Leon, yep. And part 7 stars Johnny Joestar, not Jonathan from part 1, but Johnny Joestar, the first of the Joestar family who was a cripple.
Yeah.
Oh.
And it's all about horse riding. That's probably why it'll never get animated.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
Horse riding with or without stands?
Oh, in general.
Just horse riding, yeah.
Just horse riding in general, okay. Oh, well, I mean, that's cool that they... that they try to go and... chat.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, StarTel says the chat volume is really low.
Oh, really? No, thank you for the
Yeah.
Thank you for that confirmation, StarTel. I'll get that fixed.
I mean, it's cool that they change things up with like the powers and like the themes that they do in JoJo's Bizarre Adventure instead of just sticking to one particular thing. Because ever since part 3 to part 6 has always been about the stands.
Okay, can someone in chat or the stream confirm if the audio is better or not?
Yeah, definitely let us know if it's better or worse.
Yeah, because I don't want one or the other like bleeding out each other. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. So, what's going on between Jonathan and Speedwagon here? Okay, StarChild says that's a bit better.
Okay, that's good to know. Thank you very much, StarChild.
And Fighter Cows, happy face, or yay face with his emotes in the chat. Thank you, Jerry.
Yep.
You're
good,
better, man.
man.
Indeed, yeah.
Basically, what's going on right now is you can see in the cutscene, he's basically asking if he wants us to be his bodyguard, basically.
Oh, I see.
And basically said Kiryu says, "Sorry, but I've got enough on my plate. Good luck, though."
Why don't you just start the Speedwagon Foundation? I'm sure you're going to protect the bloodline of the Kiryus. Oh, wait a minute. There's no bloodline. There's just only one Kiryu, and his name's Kazuma Kiryu.
Yeah.
Okay, Child says Part 7 is pretty good. It's basically just a reboot, though. Well, yeah.
Yeah.
We were just talking about that. And Jerry says waiting for Street Fighter 5 to download. Oh.
Oh, cool. You know, that's something we can try to test out since we were talking about that before we went live. Since I also have it, since I also have not only the base game but also Championship Edition installed on my computer.
Hey, look who's in the chat. It's Lord Doom.
Welcome to the party, Lord Doom.
It says, "Sup? How's it going, guys? Perfect timing for the stream to start. Just got back home. Well, hey, you made it. You made it to the right place, Lord Doom."
Yeah, perfect timing, dude.
Fighter Cow says Jeff is low on his end, volume-wise.
Good to know. I'll fix that quickly. Thank you very much, guys.
And yeah, that's good that you made it to the stream, and you've come to the right place, Lord Doom.
Okay, there we go.
And this week's been a pretty good week for me personally because I got. Okay, Lord Doom says same. Jeff is a little low to me as well. Okay. And this week's been a pretty good week for me because I actually got the new retro USB AVS console that can actually play NES games in 720p.
Oh, nice.
And
Nice.
it's like the Retron, but the thing is, it's not just your ordinary clone console of the NES. It actually has some weight to it, so it's like there's actual parts of the NES that's inside of that console.
Right. I get what you're saying, dude.
Nice.
Okay, so we shouldn't have any problems because they're both the audio that you hear me coming from my mic as well as them over on Skype. They're even, so there should not be any more issue.
And Lord Doom says, "Caught a cold from a friend. Revenge shall be had." Kappa face.
I'm so sorry to hear that because I know the feeling. I finally recovered from what the hell I had from the last month, so I know that feeling, dude.
Yeah.
My condolences.
And that's the thing that that I have to go through when I'm at work every single day because there's always so many people who come in who are down with a cold or some type of sickness, and I'm like, really, you can't even put like face masks on and come inside and not spread your sickness to anybody else?
No, because they only care and think about themselves, dude. What the heck do you think? You know what I mean?
Obviously.
I mean, that
It's
sounds
just
harsh, but it's the truth.
right. And it's like whenever I work at the self-checkout, some people ask me to come help them out, but when I realize that they have sickness, I'm like, really? You had to ask me of all people? I do not want to catch your sickness. Well, I don't say it out loud, but I just, I say it in my mind. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I get what you're saying. Hey, guys, look, it shows that Kiryu has a heart. Look what he said. For now, I don't especially feel like watching him die.
Well, who would have thought that the pup Kiryu had a heart?
It's true what Zaj said. He cares. He cares for these
He
people.
does. He really does.
Even my dogs agree.
Yep.
Good
so I
puppets.
see your puppers are really Kryptonian.
Yep. They might as well be, or they might as well be because
that's just a funny thing. Like,
they're pretty big dogs.
Since we're mostly comic fans, I'm surprised you didn't name one of your puppers a Crypto of all things.
I probably would either name him Kal-El or Jor-El.
Right,
or
yeah.
one of them Kal-El and the other Jor-El. Anyway, Lord Doom says, my immune system kind of sucks because of other medical issues, so if I'm around someone with a cold, I will get sick. It sucks. I know the feeling. I mean, that's how I was like too, but ever since I got insurance at the place I work, I always got myself a flu shot every September, so...
Yeah, I think I'm going to start doing that this fall again, you know what I mean? Just to make sure.
Mm-hmm. But here's the thing that sucks, though. Even though I get myself get a flu shot every single year, I hope that would do away with colds, but it doesn't.
Right.
And it's like, really, there isn't a vaccine that can actually prevent the common cold? When you think there should be in this day and age.
Okay. Yeah, I want to try to change my stance. Come on. Let me change my stance. Here we go.
Well, hey, Lord Doom. At least if you have yourself a cold, at least it's not the coronavirus.
Yes.
Oh, God. Yeah.
And there goes the Hitman in the most glorious way possible. Kick to the jaw.
kick to the jaw, and yet their jaws are still intact.
Yeah.
You figure that they would have broken jaws right now. I mean, for God's sakes.
I said before, I said it again. I would not be surprised if this takes generations and generations into the future of the Fallout franchise, because that's the only thing I can think of.
Is there a game where if you do damage to enemies, like having broken jaws, do those damages still stick on them?
The only one I could think of was, you guys remember a first-person brawler by Namco for the original Xbox called Break? It was either Breakdown or Breakout.
Mm-hmm.
I think that was the only game that I can recall that had something similar to that.
Lord Doom says, as far as the common cold goes, it's difficult to create a vaccine because the virus is constantly changing. Well,
Yep.
yeah, that is true. But hey, I will say for the benefit of the doubt, the types of colds I've had for about the last few years are head colds, so they're not chest colds, which chest colds are far worse.
Oh yeah.
I'm living proof. I had a bad chest cold this last month.
LPH, hey LPH, welcome to the stream. And he says, "Man, everywhere I go, people always sick." And Jerry says, "You're learning brawler style moves. I think in the future with Bacchus, you have to stick to brawler style."
Yeah. And for clarification, brawler is the one I started off with, right? Or is that the blue one?
Yeah, that's the blue one.
I thought so. Okay.
Yeah, brawler's pretty much going to be like your default fighting stance.
Like the main go-to. I get what you're saying. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I mean, if you want an easy comparison, take a look at something like Beautiful Joe, where in normal speed you fight normally, but if you're hyperspeed, that's basically the speed moniker for Kiryu's fighting style. Whereas the slow motion mode, that's more the beast style.
Yeah. I got you.
Yeah. Lord Doom Prime says, "The one I have is a chest cold, so coughing and other fun things are all for me."
Yeah. Again.
And you can tell when you have a chest cold is when you try to breathe and you can actually feel that crackling inside your mouth because that's actually coming from your lungs.
You're talking about that wheezing you can hear. It's kind of like, bubbling, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Says I'm already... Oh, okay, so he's not going to teach us yet. Okay. Oh, I have to upgrade. That's my bad. Upgrade your post. So.
Brawler's blue, Rush is purple, Beast is yellow, as Jerry says. But also, Jerry, what is red? Dragon style. But we can't really say dragon yet because he doesn't even have it as of right now, and he's not officially known as the Dragon of Dojima quite yet.
Yes.
LPH says, "I think I have that last month."
Yeah.
Or you had that? I mean, back in the middle of September, I had a cold for like 2 months straight. I managed to get better right. I managed to get better right before Thanksgiving happened.
Thank God.
I know, right? Lord Doom says, "I love the way he greets Kiryu. Just, hey, boy."
Yeah.
That is funny.
That is.
So that guy who greets Kiryu, so he's pretty much like old man Kratos from God of War 4, huh?
Boy.
Hey, boy. And Jerry says, "You need to do all the real estate stuff for Dragon Style."
Yeah.
That makes sense.
The power of real estate in a Yakuza game. Who knew?
I know, right?
Just like how you never would think to see anything like, say, Superman on the NES talk about, like, stock markets and stuff. With the little chibi sprites and the really bad music.
Oh, yeah. I know what you're talking about,
dude. I remember that, yeah.
You're talking about the NES game that was done by Kemco, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
That was supposed to be based off the first movie.
Yep.
That or the second movie, one of the two, because it was supposed to be a movie.
Yeah,
it was supposed to be a movie tie-in, which they did in Japan, but when it came to the U.S., they had to redo it to make it an original, have an original story.
Which is crazy, you know what I mean?
Stock market.
And Starchild says, "Yeah, normal fighting will help you unlock the main stuff, but you'll have to do special things for the Dragon Style."
Yeah, like what Jerry brought up just now in the continuation of the real estate quest.
And LPH says, I still don't know why they did that. I think he's referring to Superman on the NES.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, wasn't even weirder when the Statue of Liberty was talking to Clark Kent at the beginning?
Yeah, it was.
Even though the Statue of Liberty in that game was in anime form
Yep.
with
Yeah, that
the
was one of
facial
the
expressions.
weird things. That makes complete sense.
Hey guys, look, it's Agent Johnny Cage.
Agent Johnny Cage.
Oh, you're gonna do the splits and do a nut shot at Kiryu?
You know, Saphius, he would try and he would fail.
Yeah, I would. Because Kiryu wouldn't even feel it.
No.
Such a manly man.
Yes.
Yeah, this
Hold on.
clearly is Johnny Cage. You want some first, do you? All right, open up, or I'll serve you your own teeth.
Speaking of Mortal Kombat, didn't that Scorpion's Revenge animated flick already come out?
No, I think it's soon, though.
Yeah, or this Tuesday, possibly. Because I think they said February is when it comes out, so probably this Tuesday.
I thought so too, yeah.
Yeah. And oh, wait a minute, I already said LPH's piece, so no other. Okay, Lord Doom now says, well, Kiryu has balls of steel, so Johnny Cage would just hurt his hand. Well,
Yeah.
he wouldn't hurt his hand, Lord Doom. He'd break his hand. That's basically like Kiryu. That's like the crippled opponent would actually just commit an X-ray type of move from, in reverse, basically.
Yeah.
Instead of the attacker, breaking the defender's body parts, instead it's the defender actually breaking the attacker's body parts.
Right. That was kind of. I'm not gonna lie. That was kind of like a bad tutorial. What they're just now trying to tell me how to do a counter.
Because
it should have said before to hold down for for B, or if this was on a PlayStation controller, R1.
Some games that have a counter system like that, they're just kind of finicky.
Yeah.
I can't remember the last time where I tried to counter, but it was so really hard to pull off.
Right.
So, Febtober is about to be completed.
Yep.
Yep, next Saturday, and next Saturday, we're not really sure whether or not if we're going to be streaming this or we're going to be streaming, or just do a stream of commentary for AEW Revolution.
Right.
Oh yeah, I guess you guys don't know. I can actually watch it now.
Oh, nice. Oh, nice.
Yeah.
And LPH says, and why Johnny Cage is in right now it for a movie or something.
Yep. That's something crazy too. By this time next year, that we're gonna have a new Mortal Kombat movie.
It's gonna be pretty insane. Kind of looking forward to it, but also kind of not.
Too bad we'll miss Robin Shao as Liu Kang.
I know.
Yeah,
Let's just hope it's not. Well, hopefully it's not like Mortal Kombat Annihilation where they have all the characters make like a 30-second cameo just for the sake of having them in the movie.
Yeah, I hope not.
Like, like the Great Rain shows up once at the beginning and then gets, hammered into a fire pit and dies.
But let's not forget, it was glorious.
And if they bring,
that's the bad thing is fighting game movies are kind of a guilty pleasure of mine.
Oh yeah.
I kind of get sick joy out of that movie, even though it sucks.
if they get Shao Kahn, I mean, if they have Shao Kahn in the movie, they better have somebody like Kevin Nash play Shao Kahn because you need to have a burly man play that role because Shao Kahn is pretty burly with his, with his physical description.
That wouldn't be a bad casting choice.
Actually, I think they did a decent job with that in Mortal Kombat Conquest, actually. The live-action series?
I don't think I've watched it yet.
Well, they did something interesting because they got martial artist Jeffrey Meek to play both Raiden and Shao Kahn,
Mm-hmm.
Wait, was
and it
this a
kind of
USA
worked.
show back in the day?
Yeah, it
I
was
thought
the
so,
live
yeah.
action. Yeah, the live action series that only went for like one season.
And then the series finale, spoilers, is that everyone dies.
Well,
Oh,
it was.
oh,
Well,
so
yeah.
it's like, oh,
Cool
so
about-
so it's pre-Armageddon, huh? It
Yeah.
predated Armageddon. Everybody dies.
Oh
Well, yeah,
yeah,
ends on a cliffhanger that'll never be resolved because it never got a second season.
kind of like what happened with Duckman.
Yeah,
Star Child says they'd probably get Nathan Jones to play Shao Kahn.
That would be
I
a bad
mean,
choice.
I wouldn't hate that because he does have like the right look and everything.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, like I know he's getting on in years, so I don't know how well that would hold up. But they definitely do need like a tall guy, like one of the tall big
Yeah.
guys.
The LPH
The
says,
kind that Vince McMahon has a mangasm over.
Oh yeah.
and LPH says the one on TNT in the '90s. You want to know what else was on TNT in the '90s? WCW Monday Nitro, baby.
Uh-huh.
Oh yeah, hell yeah.
Good, good times, good times.
Yeah.
Oh, you're back at the homeless that are surrounding the bonfire who are wanting their different types of alcohol.
Yeah, but just to quickly save, just to make sure, you know what I mean?
Yeah. The And Star Child says the Street Fighter live action series was pretty good. You're talking about based on Assassin's Fist, right?
Oh yeah. There's some sad news actually. I found on Facebook a couple of weeks ago.
Okay.
Remember around this time a couple years ago that they confirmed that there was gonna be a second season?
Yeah.
Well, that's no longer gonna be the case.
Hey,
Kinda
wasn't
like-
that was the one that had what was it? Jerry Ryan as Sonya Blade, wasn't it? I'm thinking of a different one.
We're talking about Mortal Kombat, the live action Mortal Kombat series, right?
I was gonna say yeah, I couldn't remember because I know she played a Sonya. I think it was either that one or like a different like web series or something.
No, you're right. She did play her, and
Yeah, I was trying to remember. I couldn't quite though. Yeah.
yeah, but
LPH says I like the MK YouTuber show.
Ooh.
I think that's what the show we were just referring to, right?
Mm-hmm. Mortal Kombat Legacy. I think
Yes,
that's
yeah. Because if I recall correctly, Legacy started off as a the reason
As
why
a-
I got greenlit is because that trailer that leaked during I think the year prior from E3.
Mm-hmm. And Star Child says I heard Assassin's Fist got picked up for a continuation, but I haven't heard anything about it since.
That's what I was bringing up. Yeah, that's not gonna happen.
I was gonna say, and obviously neither has anybody else.
Speaking of Mortal Kombat, there's only one web series that I like that's fully completed, and that's all I ever need to watch is Morty Kombat from Lowbrow
Yeah.
Studios, or Lowbrow Studios, where Morty looks shockingly like you, Jeff.
Yeah, I know, right?
Well, the only Mortal Kombat series that we should really watch is Defenders of the Realm. Combat time.
Not that bad. It wasn't that bad. Like it had its problems, just like the '94.
Well, of course it did. Well, of course, but it had its own charm.
Yeah, exactly. Just like the
Like
94
you,
Street Fighter
Austin.
cartoon. Everything was lies.
Well, probably one of the only redeeming things about that cartoon I remember is that they managed to get the guy who voiced Leonardo in the live-action Ninja Turtles movies in the '90s to voice Liu Kang in Defenders of the Realm.
Yeah. The crazier one is, I think, if I recall correctly, Luke Perry voiced Stryker of all people.
Oh boy.
Yeah, he was, I think.
Or the best, if we're talking about Street Fighter '94. I killed my father too. You don't see me crying about it.
It's just one of these days where we need to live stream Final Fight Double Impact, and we need to watch that episode of the Street Fighter
Yes.
cartoon with Final Fight and just riff on it.
I don't know which one. I don't know which
That'd be
line is
great.
worse, i.e., better. And you're a loser, or you hurt my Jessica.
Because I still find it very bad how someone like Guy has a gangster accent when he's
Right,
clearly Japanese American.
right. or, or, or one I
Oh,
think is actually
90s.
worse. For some reason, a Japanese girl having a Bronx accent.
Oh, yeah. Sakura
Yeah,
Kasugano.
yeah, because that happened.
She's totally from the Bronx, yo.
Right?
And LPH also says, can we just watch the Men in Black cartoon show?
Right.
Yes, we can.
It's funny, we were talking about this earlier in the week, too. Like, that was an underrated tie-in cartoon.
It was. It was underrated, actually.
I remember one of the, yeah, it was a great show, but I remember one of the worst, like, promotions during, like, a cartoon's credits was between that and Pokemon.
Oh, you
Uh,
talking about the old, the old IDs that we have for transitioning to the next show for Kids WB back in the day, right?
because
That's what
they,
you're talking about,
yeah, because they apparently made this little gag where Will Smith's character was being replaced by Bulbasaur. And it's just like, really?
The good old days of Kids W.
And when you have 4 kids at the helm, which thank God that they're no longer around.
Well, they are, but they're not. But
yeah.
like,
Aren't they technically owned by Konami these days?
I was gonna say technically, they were kind of broken up when they went bankrupt, but
Yeah.
they did. Like most of the people there formed what's now known as 4K Media,
Right.
whose only real claim to fame is that because of licensing bullshit, they still have the rights to dub and release Yu-Gi-Oh in the West.
Now, I have not watched Yu-Gi-Oh in quite some time. I think the last one was, I think it was a series after the original ended, which I think was GX.
GX, yeah.
How have they gotten better from time, or have they gotten still
Worse.
worse?
Like
Okay.
5D, like 5Ds was actually good.
I legit want to ask.
It was
That's
a
the
good
reason why.
series.
Okay.
Did wind up getting cut short because of bullshit.
Really?
So if you want to watch the whole thing again, you'll have to watch it subs. It's kind of the same thing with the end of GX,
Yeah.
since they kind of didn't air like half of the last season. Starting with Zeal or Zexel, they did air them in their entirety, but the dubs kind of got worse.
Oh wow.
And they've kind of hit a new low now with Vrains, because yeah, it's not.
Now I wanted to ask something because, like I said, the last one I watched was GX, and this was years
Yeah.
ago. But with the Yu-Gi-Oh series, specifically in the anime form, is it the same universe, or it's just like different seasons for different?
Okay, probably the best way to put it is the first 2 seasons are considered like sequels to each other,
Okay.
because GX does have like brief appearances by like Yugi and Kaiba and such.
Yeah.
So it is considered a continuation. After that, they're either like future or alternate takes, because
Okay,
it's kind of weird, because like the end of Arc 5, they actually start going through the multiverse, and they go to like the previous worlds, or
okay.
like alternate versions of the previous worlds, and it gets a little
Right.
confusing.
Right.
Because like they go back to like the GX world, they meet Alexis, or whatever her name is, and
Yeah.
they go to like 5D's world and meet like Crow and Jack Atlas, and then Zeal world, and etc. etc.
I got stopped by a cop. What should I give him, guys, in my inventory?
Well, you really don't have anything of
Value.
big value.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I would say give him Mountain Dew.
Actually, let's see what happens.
I mean, everybody's got to do the do some point.
Oh, I mean, yeah, especially solar player.
This is about as safe as it gets.
Now you know why I was laughing just now.
Wow.
Let's here, take this back. Okay.
That doesn't look like you're carrying anything dangerous here. Take this back.
Wow, I didn't know Kamurocho was run by Mike Bloomberg.
Oh, dear.
This totally isn't stopping and frisking, right, guys?
LPH says two things. So 4Kids keeps make you, and then the second sentence says, "Oh God."
I know.
Oh God, not Bloomberg.
I know. Yeah.
Not
What?
Bloomberg.
Anyone but Bloomberg. Hey, Zems, I'm just gonna say this. Now you know how the rest of the world felt with Trump 4 years ago. Just saying.
Oh, yep.
Just saying. You know, not to get political or anything, but I'm not gonna lie, I kinda in an effed up way I wanna see both Bloomberg and Trump debate each other. You know, because I'm just a second individual.
And then Lord,
I don't even know if I want to entertain that.
then Lord Doom,
As a thought.
and then Lord Doom says, "Throw them up against the wall and frisk them." And then LPH says, "New York is going into USA."
Yep.
And since Wheels is from New York, I'm sure he would be inclined to agree to that, LPH. So you're not wrong.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because I heard, even though Bloomberg did a lot of stupid crap during his tenure as mayor of New York, I've heard his successor is actually worse de Blasio.
Mm-hmm.
Again, even where me and the main founders group, Jerry, live in Massachusetts, even though we're near New York, we don't know the full political structure of New York. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just going from secondhand information, basically. You know what I mean?
You know, it's funny that LPH says New York is going to end USA. Well, they already did. It was back in the 90s or so when this guy by the name of Ken Sander hosted this live phone call-in TV show when he was talking about whether or not New Yorkers should carry handguns, and then all of a sudden he was getting a bunch of crank calls on his show.
Oh yeah, I actually remember that.
Yeah, so I was about to say, New York is going to end USA. Hey, it already did when everybody was just crank calling that poor guy.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, who knew that our future was legit going to be Escape from New York?
Future. Wow.
Yep, got to have Kurt Russell for that too. That's the official sequel to that.
Yeah, speaking of which, I don't get why people just like New York and crap on LA. They're both great movies.
I guess probably because it was seen as a little
Campy?
a little too campy and a little too over the top.
Right.
Especially because it came out in, what was it, the late 90s?
Yeah, it was around I think it was 96, in fact, yeah.
I just remember it was like mid to late 90s.
Yeah.
And Starchild says, "I remember this cop guy."
And fun fact, yeah, they actually had to, because Escape from LA did so poorly, they had to shit can the proposed sequel, which was Escape from Earth.
Which is a shame, because that sounds amazing.
I know, right? But because Escape from LA did so poorly, they had to scrap the sequel, so yeah.
Okay, so Bloomberg's son over here has an official name, Officer Kikuchi.
Kukuchi. Kukuchi.
And I made some friendship with him. That's nice.
Hey, there you go. You scratch an officer's back, he'll scratch yours, so that way you won't be breaking the law. Breaking the law.
Right?
I've still got a cat.
Yeah, since I'm already here, I'm gonna save just to make sure. You know, because we've seen the past in our prior episodes of this playthrough that I've been doing these last couple weeks. Yeah, it doesn't hurt to save once in a while because you don't know.
No, it doesn't.
You don't know
Yeah.
which point's gonna be the longest in the storyline or the most short. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, hey, at least on the bright side, you have not run into Mr. Shakedown yet as of this playthrough for today.
Yes. Which is good.
Oh.
Speaking of the MIB. Got one down.
Yep, here they come.
Yeah, here they go.
And then Lord Doom says, "Breaking the law, breaking the world."
I just broke one of them. Look, I just caused trauma to his skull. And I just dropkicked that one.
And LPH says, as someone who lived in the Bronx, Bloomberg and Trump will mess up everything.
Yeah.
Yep.
In my categories.
Oh, well, we have a cameo from Blake here, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
Lord Doom says, Mr. Shakedown is like the ultimate boss. Yeah, he's the super boss of this game.
It's actually kind of cool that you can actually have the chance to try to beat him in the first go around.
It's not just role-playing games that have super bosses, but games like this, they can have super bosses too, so give them a chance, guys.
Yeah. Oh, wow. This doesn't feel cliched at all. Gee, it's like I totally saw this happening.
Oh, they got one's the Joker and the other two are WCW Sting and the other is NWO Sting.
Yep.
Which I found really weird that there were two Stings in the WCW, one for the WCW side, who we come to know and love, and the other for the NWO side.
Right.
Pretty much, yeah.
And Lord
That's why wrestling is so great.
And Lord Doom says, I agree with StarTile. You ain't ready for Mr. Shakedown yet. Yeah, he knows. He needs to.
I found it the hard way, guys. Trust me, I know.
Yeah. And LPH says, every time I hear Mr. Shakedown name, I think of No More Heroes.
Yeah, I can see that. I can definitely see that.
I'm ready for No More Heroes 3 when it releases this year.
Yeah. I just hope for the developer's sake and the publisher that it's not a lifetime exclusive like how the first game was.
Well, I mean, I don't think so because that whole Travis Strikes Again, No More Heroes, it was timed exclusive on the Nintendo Switch and it came to Steam and PS4 and Xbox One, I think, within the last year.
Oh, nice.
Mm-hmm. And StarTel says, yeah, the NWO Sting was referred to as Stink, and LPH says, who was big in Japan, and then StarTel says, yes, Sting was big in Japan, or Stink, one of the two.
Well, Stink's gone.
Because we're the real Sting.
Yeah.
It's one of the funniest things that one of my dad's oldest friends who passed away about maybe 15, 16 years ago, he always had this really weird, just funny thing whenever it comes to watching one of the Halloween movies, that has Michael Myers.
Yeah.
Whenever Michael Myers was around, my dad's friend, he would always yell out, Sting rules! And I guess he kind of looks like Sting from WCW in a sense.
Right.
But I'd say him referring to him as Sting, I think if you want somebody who looks more like Sting from WCW, look at someone like The Crow.
Yeah.
Because The Crow looks more like Sting, if anything.
Oh god, yeah, that's totally not. I mean, that's where he totally did get his influence for his revival from, right, guys?
Right.
Absolutely. And then, of course, you got to talk about crazy Joker Sting from TNA, which we don't really like to talk about a whole lot.
Exactly, I was about to say, we don't talk about that. What are you talking about?
We don't talk about Joker Sting from TNA. So,
what is this Joker Sting you talk about, Metal? This is new to me. I would like to subscribe to your newsletter.
Yeah. Oh.
And of course, when it comes to The Crow, we never talk about City of Angels on the PS1 and the Sega Saturn.
Yeah, because it was crap.
Even the movie.
Whose smart idea was it to make a 3D beat 'em up with pre-rendered backgrounds? That's all like Resident Evil or even the Final Fantasy games.
Whose smart idea was it to get David Gordon to write the script to one of the most beloved movies of the '90s to do a sequel?
Mm-hmm.
That's just that's just as an important question as the one you just asked, Kyle.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, don't get me wrong. There are some things I did like that David Goyer has done throughout the years, but I've said before, I said it again. He is not a good screenwriter, but he's a good. He comes with good concepts. He just can't connect said concepts into a solid screenplay. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
I think that's the big reason why I'm not the biggest fan of the Dark Knight trilogy from Christopher Nolan. You know what I mean?
Right. I mean, if you guys need some, if people like David Goyer need some really big lessons on how to make the perfect screenplay, look for someone like Martin Scorsese.
Oh yeah.
Because how many films has Scorsese directed and written, and they turned out to be really big masterpieces, all of them?
God, a lot.
Yeah.
Quite a few. Let's just say.
Mm-hmm. Raging Bull, The Aviator.
Irishman.
Yep.
Yeah. More
Just
recent.
just anything that has Leonardo DiCaprio, he'll always make a movie.
Or let's talk about
Basically.
a movie that was highly underrated at its time when it was released, King of Comedy.
Mm-hmm. Or even Gangs of New York.
Yeah. Or I know it sounds cliche, but this is a personal favorite of mine as well for him too. Taxi Driver.
Hmm.
What are you talking to me?
Yeah.
Don't see anybody else here.
I guess the big release coming up this week in terms of video games, to switch subjects, is Mega Man Zero ZX Collection.
Oh, that's finally coming out. Nice.
Mm-hmm.
'Cause I knew
Legacy
last
Collection.
month it was,
Oh, yeah,
Link's in
the
this one,
Z,
right?
yeah. Oh, yeah, that's gonna be cool.
Oh yeah.
All what was it? All 3 GBA games and
All
both
4.
DS games.
Yep.
All 4.
Four. I meant 4. Why did I say
Yeah,
3?
4
All
GBA games and 2 DS
2
games.
DS games. Yeah, and apparently all the cinematics have been all reworked and everything, and it's apparently looks pretty damn awesome.
Which is cool
Oh,
to
yeah.
hear.
Oh yeah, I mean, I really do enjoy both Mega Man Zero and Mega Man ZX, but if there's one thing that I wish for more than anything when it comes to Mega Man in this day and age, probably aside from Mega Man X9, a new ZX game, because that one ends on a cliffhanger.
Honestly, I feel like the next 3 realistic entries from Mega Man are not only going to be the 2 you just mentioned, Kyle, but I feel like Legends 3. Just give it time.
Okay.
I
Cool.
I think it's going to happen, especially with this new dude that's been taking care of the IP ever since, you know, Inafune turned out to be nothing than a Inafune snake.
Inafune turned out to be nothing but a Inafune competent.
You're fired.
Yeah,
Hey,
but
look at the bright side, Kyle. At least it wasn't you for the first time.
Yep.
See,
Hey,
you're learning. Like me, you're learning.
Someone's got to be in Sherry's shoes for this episode, right? Since he's not here.
Exactly,
Yeah.
and that's us.
oh yeah.
See, we've learned.
Oh. Like in addition to Legends 3, I would also like to see a Battle Network collection. So.
Oh, that'd be nice.
All right.
Well, yeah, especially if they include some things like the like there were a couple side games that never came out in the West that I would like to see. Like there was like a complete edition of, I think it was 3.
Oh,
I can't remember. Like I know they released one that basically turned your GBA into like an actual like PET.
oh, interesting.
Kind of cool. There was some other side game, and then there's the complete version of Battle Network 5, which was a DS game.
Oh yeah. Where they
And then, of
included
course,
both of the 2 games that were from the GBA
yeah,
into
together,
one.
yeah.
Yeah.
One thing, which would be cool if we got that version, like the complete version.
I'm pretty sure that's what they're gonna do.
That would be nice.
And not to mention, I would like to see like a Star Force collection as well.
Oh yeah.
Star Forge trilogy,
Yeah,
because
with
there were
all
only there were only 3 games.
and you know what'd be cool too, if they maybe localized and released the Battle Network remake / crossover game we never got.
Wait, there was a remake?
Basically, as a like an interesting crossover between Battle Network and I forget what it was called in Japan. basically between Star Force and Battle Network. They made what was ostensibly a remake of the first Battle Network game,
Oh, nice.
but it also had a lot more to it, and it worked as like a crossover between the two continuities.
Right.
But it was never released in the West. It was a Japan only thing.
I see.
Yeah.
Um, you know, a couple of re-releases I would like to see from Mega Man, done in like the high def format, are Mega Man Network Transmission. That's basically the side scroller that's done in the Mega Man Battle Network continuity,
Yeah.
Right.
and the other is Mega Man X Command Mission.
Oh, those are good choices.
Mm-hmm. I mean, sure, the Mega Man X's legacy in the later years have been kind of lackluster, but if anything, I would say that Command Mission is actually pretty underrated.
It is. Because I think, because I remember too, but a lot of people didn't expect, that game to be of all things an RPG. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Which I find hypocritical because this is the same company that also has made RPGs like, how no, Breath of Fire.
Yep.
So it's not out of that, realm of weirdness for Capcom to do something like that. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. And I remember that it was a game that was a cross release between the PS2 and the GameCube, but I always remember the GameCube version actually had connectivity with the Game Boy Advance, acting as a map for whatever room you were in, basically, to tell you if there were like any secrets that could be easy to find and whatnot.
Jerry is our real life. Kaos is our real life Kiryu because this sounds like something that he would say. Selling herself. Whoa, isn't she still in high school? Emphasis on the whoa. That's definitely a Kaos trait right there.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah, but here's a couple other Kaos traits. Scooby and oh lordy, he coming.
Yeah. I just like this. I just like this dopey student's name. The fact that it's Tat-chan.
Tat-chan.
Thank God it's not Chris-chan.
Oh.
Yeah. Oof.
Seriously, why did he need to show up to South by Southwest and just make an ass out of himself in front of Mike Pollock of all people?
You saw that clip, huh?
Yep.
Lord only knows.
And the worst thing is that wasn't South by Southwest. That was the same. That was the same convention that he got kicked out because he was being too touchy feely. Too many games.
Oh yeah.
Oh, it was. Oh yeah, it was too many games, wasn't it?
Yeah.
But still, diss a man like Mike Pollock. I mean, Mike Pollock is a great voice actor. I mean, definitely the best voice for Eggman right now, but still.
Oh yeah. I think I honestly I'm not the biggest Sonic fan like I used to be. Like when I was a kid I was, but these days it's like because of Sega before that new dude that's been rightfully course correcting the ship that is Sega Japan. I have not been because some of the decision making that Sonic team themselves has been making. Like it's been a weird influx of good and bad from them. I don't get why, but yeah, I think Pollock's the only good VA in the entire cast so far.
So far, I would say so. Yes. I mean, I may like Roger Craig Smith, but now that I think back at it, I would say he's hit or miss when it comes to Sonic. But speaking of Sonic, it's just like I really hope that Sega has since they have the new CEO or head guy for Sega, I really hope he can get the Sonic IP back on like better grounds instead of where it has been since the past decade or whatnot.
I think you will.
Because
Let's not forget.
because whatever Sonic team is doing, they're not really doing a good job for the Blue Blur.
That's true, because, like, for example, Forces was done under the same tenure of the old dude before that new guy came in, you know what I mean? So, what was already made could not be changed, sadly, you know what I mean?
Right, and the thing is that Sonic can do fine by himself. He doesn't need to be reliant on meme material.
Exactly.
Because
it's always been my thought, at least.
Sonic is all about attitude. He's not about, trying to poke fun at himself because of all the memes that are going around the internet. I mean, seriously.
Not that, but I think my biggest issue is regards to narration, and this has been a big thing too, even with someone like me who likes the adventure series, you could tell that this was the start of downfall. Not the entirety of the series, but the slow trickle that has been the Sonic series since the early 2000s. I would say I'm fine with dark stories, but when I look at Sonic, I don't look at dark or mature tales like they should be. It's more edgelord grim dark.
Yeah, they don't need to be like that. I mean,
No,
and when you take a look at his counterpart Mario, sure, Mario's been in some dark stories, but they were not like edgelord material, but they still worked out all right.
right? Yeah, exactly. Like I still feel like my I feel like the best interpretation that we've gotten besides the movie. I haven't seen it yet. I'm hopefully gonna go see it next week. Hopefully on Friday. But besides the movie, I feel like the best interpretation we've ever had of the character still is the cartoon formerly known as Sonic Said I Am.
Yes. So, and LPH says, so who the best Sonic overall? Well, if you were to say the cartoons, then that definitely hands down goes to Jaleel White. But if you were to say the video games, I still stick by my. Even though I thought Jason Griffith was okay as Sonic, I still have to go my choice that Ryan Drummond was probably overall the best voice of Sonic in the video games.
I would say top three
I
for
think
me.
so too. Yeah.
I would say Jalil White, um, the one you just mentioned,
For the
Griffith
cartoons.
Griffith's predecessor, Ryan Drummond, and I would actually say the more recent one from the movie.
Oh, Ben Schwartz, right?
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah, I thought Ben Schwartz
hold on
was
a second.
actually not
Be
bad
right
for the
back.
movie.
Sorry about that.
Because oh, so we have an intermission? Yes, we do. So yeah, I would say those are probably my favorite voices for Sonic. Because when it came to Ryan Drummond, he was like a one by one comparison, or it's like his voice was like very identical to Sonic's Japanese voice actor because they sounded like one by one essentially. I mean, sure, it was sad that he did not get to return for the voice of the character after Sonic Heroes and Sonic Advance 3, but oh well, changes like that happen. And it's really even a bigger shame that they couldn't even get him back for Sonic Generations based on the crap that Sega pulled in saying that he would need to leave his union in order to voice Sonic again, which was a complete and utter just slap in the face for a guy who's a union guy. But anyways. Hey, Metal, who do you think were the best voices for Sonic, do you think?
Oh, I think Brian Drummond was too, actually.
Ryan Drummond, not Brian,
Oh,
because...
Ryan. Why do I always think it's Brian?
Well, it's really funny because somebody asked him...
Similar, but...
somebody asked Ryan Drummond if he was actually related to Brian Drummond, and Ryan Drummond actually caught wind of that. He's like, no, we're not related, but I have caught his work before, and he's actually a pretty good voice actor, too. Basically, Brian Drummond is amongst the Ocean Group voice dubs in Canada.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
Sorry about that quick intermission.
And of course he was the English voice of Vegeta before Chris Sabat took over that role for Funimation.
Yeah.
Honestly, a voice that I still think is better than Chris Sabat in all due respect.
it's over 9,000.
What? Over 9,000?
When they brought him back as Gogeta, that was the good
Which
stuff.
was awesome, yeah.
Yeah.
But when it comes to Funimation, I don't hardly support them anymore because it's like they're slowly becoming the next 4Kids.
Well, yeah, they have. Like, I find it funny a lot of people haven't liked them because of something that happened last year. I would say that was the case, even though that entire, thing was a complete crap show.
Are you talking about the English dub for the song Ultimate Battle in Dragon Ball Super?
No, I'm talking something actually serious.
Oh, yes, I remember. Yes.
I don't want to bring it up because,
Yeah.
Yeah,
no affiliation with that, nonsense whatsoever. But,
yeah, let's
Right.
not
And that,
go
and
there.
and that's pretty deep material. Like nobody should ever
is,
talk about it.
But that's what I'm getting at. It's like, even though I have my issues with how that was handled, my issues with Funimation have been going on years before that happened.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah, how you talk about quality? Like, I can't even recall the last time I actually liked a product from Funimation. To be bluntly honest.
Mm-hmm.
Now, it could be me personally because as I've gotten older, and I even brought this up with Jerry's stream yesterday when he was live streaming Shenmue 3 for the first time. Which, by the way, if you are curious, you can. I hope it's available now on VOD for those who missed last night's debut. Twitch.tv/FighterCouse. Feel better, dude. But going back to what I was saying, like, as I've gotten older, I've actually preferred the original voice track, or as like we play in here, like subs, for example. I'm not saying dubs are bad. It's just as I've gotten older, I've just appreciated the original voice track more than say something that we have made. You know what I mean? I'm not saying that they're not good English voice actors, because that's far from the truth. It's just I feel like there's problems within dubbing studios that they care more about quantity than quality. You know what I mean?
Right.
And it's not just in delivery; it's also with translation too. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
But I will say but even though that is true, I will say that there have actually been some really good English dubs that actually take their dubbing very seriously to actually work well as like the Japanese side. Say, for instance, like JoJo's Bizarre Adventure from Viz Media.
Right. I mean that's why I distinctly pointed out Funimation themselves, because like Viz, if you want to look at great products, Viz is legit the anti Funimation these days. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I'm saying that's a good thing.
Yeah, they care about the quality of a product that they that they managed to get the license to put out for everybody. I mean,
Think about it. The only snafu they had recently was that botched mistranslation of a lyric that was in one of the Sailor Moon Blu-rays that they sold, like I think last year or a year prior.
No, it was actually in 2015. One of the Blu-rays had a audio glitch
Yes.
In the second season, and
Yes.
then they had to reissue that to everybody who had a copy of the movie
But that's
or a
what I'm
copy
saying,
of the. Mm-hmm.
like unlike the mistranslate, unlike the excommunication that people don't usually get with Funimation. Like once that was found out, like Viz was like that, like they were on lock, then took care of it right then and there on social. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and another thing about Viz Media too is that they don't bring up any shady crap from behind the scenes. Everybody is on the same page and everybody gets along together, and they do well with the work that they're given to them. Unlike the one thing that happened that we're not going to talk about from Funny.
Let's not.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's why I said which is the thing that we're not going to talk about.
Exactly. We're not gonna talk about it.
No,
About it.
because that is a pretty sour ship to be on. Trust us.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, and you're listening to me as being the owner of all the Sailor Moon box sets from Viz Media, as well as all 3 movies that got retranslated.
Oh nice.
Or redubbed, I should say. But yeah. And LPH says Funimation got that Sony ego, and it's ironic you bring that up, LPH, because Funimation is owned by Sony.
I'm wondering, and I wouldn't be surprised because of the controversies that have surrounded Funny these last couple. I would say these last 2 years. I would not be surprised if there's going to be a big restructuring soon, ordered by Sony, because the reason why I'm bringing this up too is because the shocking news that happened yesterday with Dan DiDio's termination from DC yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
That was revealed. That was from higher ups over at WB and AT&T.
Yeah. And there was a lot of people like yourself who actually are pretty ecstatic about that. And even our friend Nightwing01, K-Wing Reviews, he was very vocal and very happy about Dan DiDio's departure.
Say, for me, I wouldn't say ecstatic. I was more shocked. Because I can understand where Luke's our dude Luke Nightwing 01 is ecstatic because yeah, Didio did a lot of stupid crap during his 20 or 10 year over at DC.
Yeah, like treating the Young Justice very bad, or the Teen Titans really bad.
Anyone who wasn't a legacy character, basically, you know what I mean? Like Wally
Mm-hmm.
West, Dick Grayson, Cassandra Cain.
Uh-huh.
But no, what I was getting at is like, I was more shocked because the way it was handled.
Oh yeah.
You know, regardless of how you feel about Dan DiDio's tenure and what he did as as a co-publisher, or even when he first joined back in 2002 as a vice president, he did some really questionable things. But I would call him. He's in the same boat as me as when Joe Quesada was still running Marvel. You know what I mean? They both did bad and they both did good. You know what I mean? But I wouldn't say that they weren't fans, because I believe that they truly were fans, just like we are. You know what I mean?
Right, but yeah, if they truly were fans, I would say they would have to be respectful to everything that is put out and not just like treat a certain side as nothing but cannon fodder,
Oh,
which
I
is pretty
agree.
much what which is pretty much what Dan DiDio did for like Teen Titan, like those from Teen Titans, or even Cassandra Cain, or that of Young Justice.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with that. But I feel like the way it was handled yesterday was just poor on WB and AT&T's hand, because it just came out of the blue. Like there was no, word from him directly that he was stepping down. Like there was no immediate successor to him, because people are just assuming that Jim Lee is going to take over, which I can understand because he was already co-publisher along with Didio for the last 2 years. But
Mm-hmm.
it really makes you wonder why they did this out of the blue. You know what I mean?
Right. And LPHC even says, I hope they don't have Dan DiDio work at Marvel now that he's gone from DC.
That would be hilarious.
Oh man, imagine how much rage Jerry would be in if that were the case.
Oh, I would feel bad for him. Cause we're both longtime fans of comics, even though we're on the opposite sides. We both love, Marvel and DC respectfully. But where I'm more of a DC guy, he's more of the Marvel guy. And if he jumps over to Marvel, oof.
You could say that both between you and Jerry, but I'm more of the IDW guy.
Yeah. I mean, funny enough, I'm the same way too, because a lot of people don't realize this, but the two labels that got me into comics, one was DC, the other was an indie.
Mm-hmm.
That was Image. Oh, we're fighting Jun Oda.
All right, so boss fight.
Yep.
Hey, he's got a Tonfa. So we're going up against Strider Hiryu,
Yeah.
modern day Strider Hiryu.
Pretty much.
But too bad he doesn't have. Too bad his Tonfa does not have the energy blades or whatever protruding out of him.
Right. And yeah, she just saw I just kicked the vase right at him. I love this game.
Yeah. And you smashed a vase into his face, but yet the vase did not break.
I know, right?
Try saying that 5 times fast.
Right.
Now, of course, with the
I
Oda,
am the table.
of course, with Jun Oda having that Tonfa, it definitely reminds me of the main character from Suikoden 2, because you remember he had twin Tonfas as his primary weapon.
Yeah.
Which I can't wait for us to get into that game at some point,
Oh, that'd be nice.
because I would definitely have a lot to talk about, and would definitely complete it at 100% to get the best ending too, because that game is definitely worth my time.
Come on, can I pull a Devon? Can I pull a Devon? Can I pull a Deadly Boy?
Get the table! No, it's Bubba Ray who says, get the table, where
Yeah.
Devon just actually does the dirty work.
Yep. Oh. For once, he was the table.
Oh!
You saw what happened, right?
Yeah, the table broke.
For he was the table.
That rat bastard. You better hit him with some chairs just to make up for it.
Oh, I definitely will. because
And
that's how wooden chairs work, guys, right?
right. I mean, if he's going to be cheap with a weapon, we might as well answer back in full force.
Exactly. Flying kind.
And LPH says indie comics keep getting better in the last decade than Marvel and DC. Yep.
Yeah. Actually, there was something that I saw from because of this whole thing that happened unexpectedly last night that I shared both you and Jerry on Facebook from Bleeding Cool. Now, granted, it's Bleeding Cool, so I know it's take them with a huge grain of salt, per usual. But from what I've heard, and this sounds like this was in line with before the announcement of the recent firing of Didio. It sounds like they want to get people outside of the comics industry to write, which I am all for, honestly. But here's the thing why I think DC actually lured from Marvel with their Marvel Now initiative a couple years ago, where they were just getting like any nobody writer. Now, no, granted, when I say that, I'm not talking about their quality of writing or saying them something like mean-spirited. I'm just stating,
Trying to have like independent writers and comic book artists and that kind of stuff, trying to get their foot in the door somehow
exactly,
with that.
like that they've never written a story before, and it's just like this is their first time, basically. You know what I mean?
Kind of like how certain video game companies actually have that indie initiative, kind of like what Nintendo does with Nindies, as they call, and as well as Square Enix with the Square Enix Collective, basically.
But from what I read from last night, what DC wants to do is basically they want to get writers that are outside of the norm from the comics pro industry, and more people like from animation and that type of media, not like what they were doing a couple years ago, like with novelists, like they did with Brad Meltzer years ago with Identity Crisis, or recently with that rumor that you guys remember that movie 12 Years a Slave, right?
I don't think I've seen it.
The writer and director of that movie, John Ridley, was supposedly gonna be the new Batman writer that took over after the current one is finished. I think it's James City in the fourth that's currently here right now. But that was the rumor that was going around, the whole 5G thing known as Generation 5, you know what I mean? But from what I've heard, I'm kind of happy that they're not doing that and actually are getting people not only from the opposite side, from TV and animation, but they're... And this is the thing that I wanted to bring up earlier, too, with Marvel, where I think they royally screwed up with some of the writers. You know what I mean? Not all of them, but some during that initiative. They are looking for writers who are not only fans of the characters, obviously, but they're going for writers who care more about story first and foremost.
LPH says a couple things, and to be honest, indie comics, wrestling, and video games are doing well. And the other one he asked, do anime got an indie thing? I don't know if anime's got an indie thing going on for them.
I don't think they have yet, but I wouldn't be surprised if that does change in their near future, to be honest. You know what I mean?
Right. And whatever people say, Ruby is not an indie anime.
No, God, no.
It's not even an anime to begin with.
I mean,
because it's done by a Western company.
I'm not saying this to sound like a dick, because I still like the IP for what it is. You know what I mean? Even though I despise the show for a lot of reasons, more personal than when I mean personal, I mean someone who wants to become an animator and a writer themselves. You know what I mean?
Right.
But you guys saw what I posted last night, yeah. You know how people say that? Oh, it's a popular show, yeah. And I think that the thing that Rich Johnson posted on Bleeding Cool last night about the comics that are doing just as bad, if not worse, as Supergirl. Yeah, I think that proves the point that how popular the show really is, right?
I was about to say, why are you running in circles?
Just trying to get my space away from him, you know what I mean? Just in case I'll use that.
Yeah, it's probably better if you just got around to finishing the boss fight first before we talk about something else, because it looks like you're wasting a whole lot of health regenerative items.
Come on. No! The episode, yes!
You sound like Captain Falcon there. Yes, yes,
That was it.
yes.
That was the entire point, Kyle. Actually, gosh. Come on, Kiryu. We're back.
I swear to God, with them having those different color orders, you figured that there would be a rock, paper, scissors type of mechanic where one would be actually more powerful than the other.
You would think.
But no.
There we go, yeah.
There we go. There's that burly bear right there, who's known as Kiryu. You never kick a beast down. Oda, what's wrong with you?
I mean, there's a reason why he's called the dragon after all, right?
Right.
Okay, I'm not gonna sick. That was. I'm not gonna lie. That was kind of sick. Okay, and I just destroyed him with a bar stool. That's beautiful.
You destroy him with a bar stool. You figured that he would fly out of the window and fall to his death, kind of like Belger from Final Fight.
Oh, don't you mean Mr. Oh no, I was thinking of Mr. X from Streets of Rage. Like Jerry earlier, this sounds like something I would say.
But yeah, LPH, hopefully the anime scene will have their own indies become a thing.
Yeah, I believe it will because like, and I don't think people realize this, but manga industry has a lot of issues like we do over here in Western comics industry too. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, I mean, especially how manga these days they say, "Hey, you got to go by the tropes of what makes Japanese manga so popular." It's like, no, they don't always have to do that. It doesn't always have to be the norm. I mean, even some of the stories that have less of that can still be really great.
Yeah.
小田さんは私にとってかけがえのない片腕です。だから我々の中にあなたを迎え入れるには彼の了解を取る必要がありました。
Tachibana.
I mean, if there's one thing I can say that as a comic fan of DC, and I think Jerry can say the same thing too when Kasana was still head for Marvel during his tenure. If there's one thing I think both of us disliked about both Didio and Kasana respectfully, is the edgelord stuff that they used to do in their comics. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
Like killing off their characters for no reason, having gratuitous gore and violence for no reason. You know what I mean?
Right. Yep.
You know, try to be like a poor man's version of Berserk.
Oh, the IP, that's all about shock value. Well, not as like heavily pretentious like Goblin Slayer is all about.
Right, like I'm glad you brought that up because that's where I'm at with regards to like stuff like say, you know, that type of material. It's like I don't hate it, but I like material that uses it when it is utilized properly. You know what I mean?
Right. I mean, sure, there may be some things in Berserk where you know that may not have been used properly. Like you remember the horse from that manga?
Yep.
Yeah, it's like that's like one of those things that'll make you go WTF. Now let's just hope some of our other favorite properties like JoJo does not fall into that same category.
Let's hope.
I don't think it will.
Yeah.
Hopefully. Yeah.
Oh, we're finally getting progression in the story.
Oh, I see. So they're pretty much pulling Matrix Reloaded right now with turning off the light and the entirety of Kamurocho.
Is it kind of weird that you and I were having the same thought right now, Kyle? Because I was thinking the same reference too, funny enough.
Mm-hmm. And speaking of which, I actually watched the entirety of that movie last week.
Oh, the
Reloaded.
Oh, nice, yeah.
Which honestly, I don't think Reloaded was a bad film, but it wasn't the best thing to come out of the Matrix.
It was the better sequel, I would say, because Revelations, while it had some good of it, that was really the
Revel-
movie.
You mean Revolutions?
Revolutions, yeah. Like, it had... Revolutions had some good in it, but that was the movie I would argue that's the most bloated, not, Reloaded, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Because in Reloaded, that fight scene between Neo and all those agents in the park, it was like that should have been like Oscar material right there for like just the technical the whole technical prowess that was delivered into that one scene alone.
Oh, yeah.
It was a technical marvel, I should say.
Oh yeah, at a time, but like a lot of people like to bring that scene up. My favorite scene is when Neo's fighting against the I'm gonna butcher this.
On the highway?
No, it's before that when he's fighting the guards.
Oh,
The hallway scene.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's
Oh
my
yes.
favorite.
Oh yeah, that's right near the end of the movie
Yeah.
with him, Morpheus, and the Keymaker.
Yes.
When all those clones of Smith show up.
No, it's not this scene. I'll show you guys what I'm talking about when we're done. I think it's a part of it, but it's not, the main scene. I'll show you guys what I'm referring to when we're done.
My favorite bit, well, probably the funniest bit in that movie is during that scene when Neo's fighting the agents, all the agents in the park where Mr. Smith is amongst them. It's when he has that metal pole and he's like knocking out so many agents with that metal pole that he has,
Yeah.
and he even knocks out Agent Smith. When Agent Smith tries to pull himself back up and look at the scene, he's like, he says the word, "More."
Yep.
I always found it so cheesy and so hilarious whenever he says that.
Yeah.
Oh god, yeah, that scene is.
He's like, "Ugh, more."
I still can't believe there's gonna be an official fourth installment in the franchise now.
Yeah, but Hugo Weaving's not going to be a part of it, which blows.
It does, but
It does.
I guess we'll have to wait and see what shape it takes.
Because that whole rivalry between him and Neo, that's like what made those movies so well. Most of those movies so great, anyways.
I'm curious to hear how they're gonna say how both Neo and Journey are back. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because I really hope it's a direct continuation and not just like an interquel film, like between the first and second movie. Because if that was the case, then I'd be like, no, oh, damn it.
I think from what I've heard, I think it is a direct continuation after the third movie.
Yeah, because it is going to be very interesting how they're going to get Neo back from the machines, which they pretty much brought him after he integrated into the entire Matrix system to reboot it after defeating Smith and all the agents at the end of Revolutions.
It's kind of funny. Like, there's a lot of problems I have with the third movie, but I'm surprised people were disappointed with that climactic battle, because they were saying like it was anticlimactic. I always assumed it was gonna be anticlimactic. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Well, that's the thing too. It's like people have so much, have these really big, huge expectations for how a trilogy or movie series is going to end, but it doesn't really meet up to what they desire. And it's like it's always one of those things. It's like never go in with your hopes up all the time, because most of the time you're not going to get 100% everything with what you desire, pretty much. And LPH says the Matrix Path of Neo game was canon because the ending was different. Basically you get a different ending if you either choose the red pill or the blue pill at the beginning, I think.
I know one of the endings which was based, I think, on the original fight, was the Smiths would combine into like a giant like Devastator Smith that Neo would have to fight.
Oh, nice.
Which I'm not gonna lie, it sounds stupid, but imagine that was the final climactic battle in that movie. Now that would have made it better.
Well, I mean,
It sounds
sort
stupid,
of like,
but it would look amazing.
Kind of like what Hihachi did with Mogujin in Tekken Blood Vengeance, if you've
Yeah.
seen it.
Yeah.
それに逆らって極道になった
They all just piled together into like one huge like monster, basically monster smith.
You know, I'm not surprised that he would do that with Mokujin and not with the most obvious candidate being the Jack robots. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah,
Mhm.
but
Yet, why did they have to call that movie Blood Vengeance when when it was not necessarily about Jin Kazuma, Heihachi, and Kazuya Mishima, when it's more about Xiao Yu and Alyssa Borisovich?
Supposedly, yeah. Hey, look,
Yeah,
Boris,
they
I guess
like
we finished the
it should have
chapter.
been it should have been like girl sleepover party or something,
like
because
in the
that's mostly
end,
what it was about.
in the end,
Yeah.
it did come down to the Devil Gene bullshit again. Because like, oh, this new edgelord character is actually a secret project by Hihachi to figure out eternal life,
Yeah.
yeah, etc., etc. So it all comes back to the, you know,
Which is
Mhm.
ironic now due to what happens to Heihachi and Tekken 7.
yeah. In the end, it all comes back to the Mishimas and the Devil Gene bullshit.
Mhm.
Yep,
Like-
and now it's gonna be Kazuya who's gonna be the big baddie going forward.
Yeah, but I'm not gonna lie. Like, I'm kind of disappointed because I feel like I was lied to, saying it was the end of the Mishima saga.
Mm-hmm.
Because honestly, what I was expecting either, I was expecting both to perish, not one or the other. You know what I mean?
Right, the son and the father perishing, basically.
Yeah.
Uh.
You know, because when you advertise something like that, saying it's the end of Mishima saga, you expect something big like that to happen. Not saying it's like, oh, we're gonna eat out Heihachi because he's the older one. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Or it should have been the end. Or it should have been the end of the Mishima bloodline because Heihachi, his wife Kazumi, and their son Kazuya.
Mm-hmm. Oh God! Imagine if someone saw this on recent era. They would
Oh,
flip their
oh,
lid.
oh God! It's like it's like putting a $100 bill in a bill acceptor at like a grocery store if they're using self checkout or something, or even like a soda vending machine.
Right?
if, if if that were to happen, I would be like, "What, man? Who would have thought that those women were actually robots and not actually human beings?" Right?
Kyle, you're joking about that, but this is Japan we're talking about.
I
Give them-
know,
Give them a couple of years, they'll make that into reality.
right? Ugh. If that's the case, then Skynet is definitely upon us.
Oh yeah.
Then this whole world would be then this whole world would be a lot more screwed than what people are, going ape nuts over because of the coronavirus, which is just, I believe, is nothing but all just scare tactics.
Well, here, yes, but over in China, because China really botched themselves because of their, government.
Yeah, it's pretty serious stuff in China, but for
Yeah.
everywhere else, it's like, nah.
Like the whole thing was silly. Like the real reason why I think they're dropping off, it's not because of the coronavirus, cases that have been popping up. It's the
Oh,
fact
you mean-
that in regards to PAX East as well as recently their announcement of GDC.
Yeah, both Sony and Square Enix, from what I
believe
heard.
they have stuff to show off. I think what they're doing is still, wrong as all hell. They're
Mhm.
basically saying, "Oh, we're instead of saying the right thing, they're doing the wrong thing instead of doing the right thing. We're saying the reason why we're dropping these is because, and I do firmly believe they want their state of play streams to be the next Nintendo Direct.
Yeah, but it still would have been nice if we got a bit more information about the PS5, since we already
That's what
know.
I'm saying. I think they want the state of play to be that hub. I don't think they want to do a traditional, announcement. Which, again, more power to them. But I just want transparency to them, and I feel like that's not what we're getting from them. You know what I mean?
Mm.
こんばんは。失礼します。失礼します。
And ironically enough, Microsoft still does Inside Xbox, but they will still appear at events because I guess they find both formats to actually be sustainable in terms of their business.
The yes.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like that's what Sony doesn't realize yet. The reason why Nintendo can get away with it because they're Nintendo. Have you seen their fan base?
いやー今回はたまたま出張でね
Rabbit is thy name.
Hmm.
そうせやから君らがたっぷり
Well, for the benefit of the doubt, Nintendo does appear at events like E3 and PAX and all
Oh
that.
yeah,
Oh,
definitely.
true, but we're talking about regards to say like presentation. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean let's be blunt. I mean the directs that Nintendo do don't have the same like they're not in the same vicinity as the reception that either like an Xbox E3 event or a Sony E3 event does. You know what I mean?
シャンパンいっときましょうか
Mm-hmm.
Because automatically, right when something is announced publicly that a direct is going to be happening soon, people lose their minds for some reason. I don't understand why. Like I get it, but at the same time, I don't. If you get what I'm saying.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm pretty sure they were kind of in that same boat too when Nintendo started doing the directs back in 2011. It's like a lot of people were not even sure what it was going to be. It's like it was either going to be something that actually could be beneficial or something that could, be a complete waste of time. So that's
Yeah.
where I feel that people in this day and age, whenever they hear a Nintendo Direct, that they actually are like, finally, we get to hear new information about some things that we don't even know about.
Yeah, but like what you're saying, Kyle, it still stands that they still haven't learned because every time when a direct happens and they get disappointed, it's just like, oh, I expected more. It's like you do realize that this is a company, right?
Right. But yeah, I was like, but at the same time, I'm like, with anything, you should. I mean, it's all right to be excited, but don't get your expectations up because
Exactly.
something could go south real quick.
Exactly. Thank you. Yes. See, you get what I was coming from. You know what I mean?
Right. Uh huh.
この店が有名になったのはつい最近なんです
And
よ
to be honest, there have been both good and bad Nintendo
少
Directs.
し前に支配人が変わって
Mhm.
そこから急に
LPH says Nintendo is the true Japanese mafia of gaming.
Well, yeah. I mean, people tend to forget that since we're playing a Japanese-centered game, funny enough, Nintendo did own a couple Love Hotels a couple years back.
やったみたいで
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if they still do now, but a lot of people know about the connections between the Yakuza and Konami, and allegedly with them as well as Sega. I would not be surprised if there's any correlation between them and funny enough Nintendo. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. If there's one piece of hardware from Nintendo I would actually like to keep in my house if I ever got my hands on one of those things is one of those Play Choice 10 arcade cabinets.
Oh wow, yeah.
Because even though you're essentially playing an NES game in an arcade machine, I honestly thought that was actually a pretty cool idea for the time. Ooh, oh God, really, really?
Hey guys, look! I didn't know DSP was in this game.
その辺に
Ugh.
I'm sorry, no, that looks more like Wings of Redemption.
未来に戦闘
God.
Especially that stink guy is giving he's giving the chauffeur right now. That definitely is Wings.
Yeah, it is. If he had hair.
It'd be hilarious. That interaction right now. I'd love to do an edit where what's coming out of his mouth is basically Wings' infamous. Look here, listen.
おいおい全然大丈夫じゃないじゃないか逃げようああこの店で暴れるやなんて
It's like
まあ
that.
大丈夫
I mean, that's as
僕も
probably
手伝いますよ
that's as probably as extreme as what Mundus did to Lilith in DMC Devil May Cry
彼が
after Dante defeated the succubus. You remember that?
Yes, I do.
That
Oh.
infamous scene that I was poking fun of, but we forgot to have it as a highlight
I know.
that entire episode. It's like, damn
I
it,
know.
because that was really funny.
Hey, speaking of which,
Oh, is our
this
boy?
dude- yeah, Majima.
Oh my goodness. It's about damn time he showed up.
Yep.
彼ってあの男かありゃただの敵だ
Kiryu-chan? Wait a minute. I don't even know Kiryu-chan yet.
Yeah.
Look here! Look! Listen! Lord Doom says. Apparently offline doesn't solve the problem. Ban anyone trying to give me advice, Kappa.
Thank you, Lord Doom.
ですが違います
A common mistake. But a mistake nonetheless.
申し遅れました
Yeah? Then what the hell are you?
当店支配人の真島
My apologies. I am the manager of this cabaret.
お前が支配人やと。
My name is Majima.
あれが例の。
And I look really sexy without all that facial hair, since this takes place 7 years before the prologue of the original.
That's
申し
right.
訳ございません。こう見えても堅気です。それよりもお客様、恐れ入りますが、当店
Yeah, if anything, he's more solidus than
ご遠慮
Naked Snake.
Yeah.
Because remember, his eye patch is on the left, just like Solidus Snake's eye patches.
Yep.
その面こき落として。
Now, if it was on his right side, then yeah, he'd be more like Big Boss.
お客様は神様ですから。
The customer's king. Well, customers are always first when it comes to any establishment.
But when you get dickheads like this,
Yeah, but when you get you know, Wings of Redemptions like this, then yeah, that's where you feel that's where you should be in the right to say, hey, get the hell out of our establishment.
you know, in other words, what rules?
Mm-hmm.
There are no rules, there are no rules here, only pain.
神様からのお恵みは。
ありがとうございます。私はこの酒を一度浴びるように飲んでみたかったのですが、
Very kind of you, sir. I had always said I love this brand so much, I wish I could bathe in it. You made a dream come true. You got some... Well, I'm about to say, you got some balls for pouring that on Goro's face, you drunk slob. You drunk sexual harassing slob.
Yeah.
そろそろお引き
I mean, guys, I wouldn't be surprised if we're seeing right here, right now, is a IRL user from recent era, right?
されますと
Oh, I know.
なんだやっちゃね
しゃあないのう。ああ
Imagine if Majima was Kenshiro right now.
I know.
You would imagine he would be doing the 100 cracked fist on that guy.
Oh, yeah. We're about to see it right about now, funny enough.
You know, and that's another game we should actually play on this channel at some point too. Lost Paradise.
Oh, yeah.
そこまでお客様
Basically, it's Yakuza in the Fist of the North Star universe.
僭越ながらお相手いたし
By
ま
the way, I'm disappointed that still hasn't been announced for PC yet.
私からは一切
Mhm.
手出しはいたしません。何しろ
I hope that changes
So I
every
get-
year.
お客様は
I guess you play as Majima in this
Yep.
chapter. Hey, it's about time.
I know.
やめよって。
Funny how Majima is the deuteragonist of the Yakuza franchise,
Okay,
whereas
now, Kyle, just for future reference, if you're able to get that, that's something we need for the soundboard. It's showtime.
okay, I'll have to definitely look for that clip online. A group of thugs known as drunkards. Wow. Oh, thug fighting style, nice.
Come on, you know it's Joker. Come on.
Just beat that. You know, this would be funny if this game broke the fourth wall and if Majima actually beats the drunkard, which he's going to. Just have a still shot of him putting on some sunglasses and smoking a cigarette and have a, bandana on his head and have the text say "Thug Life."
Right. This is amazing.
Oh
Is
yeah.
His heat moves are just basically nothing but compliments.
おしぼりはいかがですか。
Would you like a towel, sir?
なんなんやお前
He's quite the courteous bouncer of this establishment.
For now. For now.
Because if this was outside, then, sir, drunk sir, you would get killed by this man.
Yeah.
Even with something like that ice pick you have.
危険ですので、こちらはお預かりいたします。
For your own safety, I'll hold on to this.
Yeah.
Oh, he broke he dislocated his wrist.
Yeah.
ありがとうございます支配人
Or he stabbed it with the ice pick because I saw blood coming out of his hand.
Yep.
As you've seen, this gentleman violated several cabaret rules and has caused a disturbance for you all. We would be justified to turn him in to the police, yes? No,
Police.
yeah, I can't do Mark Hamill's voice. I wish I could for Majima.
Now that was one of the dubs I actually liked from Sega. The original Yakuza.
Mm-hmm. Would have been nice if the remasters of 3 through 5, as well as Kiwami 1 and 2, had an English dub track.
That would have been nice, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Because there have been some games that, in this day and age, where they've released a long time ago, but they're now like on the digital storefronts that are still getting updated now, even as of today, with some newer things, kind of like the Legend of Heroes games 1 and 2 from Xseed. Ever since the PS4 games that came out for the West, they actually had Japanese dub tracks for them, and they even included them in the PC launch, or in the PC versions when the PS4 versions launched. It's just always cool when old stuff like that still gets updated with new content like that every now and then.
Yeah.
Even for the like new games too.
See, Majima's a good dude.
Yeah. Update dub. Yeah. And I heard recently that or I found out recently that the game Yeast the Oath and Felghana on the PC through Steam and goodoldgames.com and whatever other platforms that it's available on, the PC version of The Oath and Felghana for Yeast, it actually got updated to where the English dub track that was only exclusive in the PSP release has now been implemented in the PC version.
Right.
Nonchalant, just very bummed claps with that type of expression from everybody. If you would, a round of applause for the gentleman's courage. Yeah, that was very courageous for you for getting an ice pick stuck into your hand. I mean, yeah, Majima is a good dude, but too bad he gives Kiryu a hard time with every single game. And he can hide in the most obscure places you would never expect to find him. Under a manhole cover, inside of a trash can, underneath one of those big, huge stop cones.
Yep.
He's literally everywhere, even probably inside like a box of ramen, like box of instant noodles or something. It's like, where did he...
I would not be surprised if that's something that's going to be happening in Yakuza 7, dude.
Oh, yes. Like a dragon. Yakuza Dragon Quest. That's what they should call it. Even though that's the inspiration that Nagashi was going for.
Yeah. But nah, guys. See, it's
Persona. Not the general public. They think it's Persona. It's like, come on, there's more than just Persona.
Yeah.
And I'll say it right here. Dragon Quest XI is better than Persona 5.
Thank you.
And this is coming from somebody who's actually beaten Dragon Quest XI's on Nintendo Switch.
Well, no, that, but more specifically, out of all of us here in the group, you're more of the JRPG dude and more than most of us. You know what I mean? So yeah, you would.
Yeah.
You would more than rightfully say that. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. And I'm sure a lot of people would say, well, what about Persona? It's like, well, here's the thing. I don't play Persona because of how pretentious they can be, the games.
Oh yeah. Actually, I don't know which one. I don't know which one could be even more pretentious: the original series, Shin Megami Tensei, or Persona.
Probably Shin Megami Tensei. I mean, I wasn't really a big fan of that whole bit where you can align yourself between heaven, hell, or be neutral.
Right.
Because, I really don't like that whole thing where they're trying to formulate Gnosticism in those games.
Yeah.
It just feels like a cheap gimmick and
Well,
just a
yeah.
more pretentious one at that.
No, I agree.
ただで飲めると分かったそうかあいつが怪我
Like, as someone as myself who has been like personally going through religious spouse, you know, because it usually happens when you get older. Like I grew up as Roman Catholic, but I became agnostic as I got older. But
Mhm.
even I, with my religious beliefs, I didn't like how they've been portrayed in Shin Megami Tensei. Because like you,
一応見張っとけ
regardless of me being a religious person or not,
名刺
I'm
は押
like
さえち
you
ゃう
on
んだ
that boat. I just find it
ト
pretentious.
ン
You
ズ
know
が
what I
解
mean?
かんとも限らんから
Mhm.
Like the worst kind, I would even say. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like the pretentious levels are there, obviously for so like we said earlier, but they're not in the same vicinity as the Shin Megami Tensei series. You know what I mean?
Mhm. I mean, let's take for example one of my favorite JRPGs from the PS1, Xenogears. Even though I really liked the game for its gameplay, I really did not even care about the Gnosticism element in
That's
its
another SOT
storyline.
right there. I completely agree, and I'm like you. I love Xenogears too. But the
Mhm.
older you get, and the more you see its potential to show, it is really a bad game in that
分かっ
regard.
た分かった
Mhm.
Like it's a great game that has good ideas and concepts. Don't get me wrong, but I think it really shows the bad side. Like I honestly think that the recent Xenoblade series is the best out of that entire
Oh
subseries. To
yeah.
be honest.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It doesn't it doesn't try to go for Gnosticism. It be's true to itself. It lets the game speak for itself.
Yeah. Because in some ways, I can kind of say that the same can be said about the successor to Xenogears, Xenosaga.
Xenosaga.
Like
Mhm.
Xenosaga wasn't as bad. Like it tried to rein in its religious beliefs back, unlike Xenosaga, but it was kind of Xenogears, but it was kind of still there. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like to me, Xenoblade and especially a sequel, those games to me feel like what those two series should have been from the start. You know what I mean?
Right. That's another one of those series that, some people are probably going to ask me, "Are you ever going to do a retrospective series on Xenoblade?" I'd love to, but they're pretty long games, so
Oh yeah.
the wait between them is going to be a long and arduous one. Like for me, when it comes to Final Fantasy 14, that one's taking a long time for me because of how massive the expansions are.
Oh yeah.
But I mean, I still love playing the games, but yeah, that there's a lot to be said with the expansions and all. I mean, with everything that's being delivered out of that.
Oh heck yeah.
And if you're wondering, yes, I'm still really enjoying Stormblood immensely. I just made it to the Yangxia province where the Castle of Doma is located.
That was the expansion that was announced at E3 last year, right?
No, that was Shadowbringers.
Shadowbringers, okay.
Yeah.
さっきはすまんかったなお酒はほど
Hey, you talked to 50 people. You got an achievement! No, I'm just kidding.
Not yet. Not yet. Well, I just want to make sure that I got everything before I, go to the next spot. Obviously, you know what I mean?
Yeah. I guess you could say that Majima is from the Japanese branch of the Men in Black agency.
Yeah.
I guess you could say Kiryu for that matter as well currently, but eventually he's going to be upgrading to his white business suit at
Yep.
some point in this game. His signature, uh, his signature look.
Right.
Yeah, we got about 10 minutes left before the stream ends.
which is good.
Yeah.
Hopefully, Alpha and this interaction, I can just go back up and save, and then we can, do our usual.
Right. And like we said, guys, whether or not if we return this next week or do a commentary track for you all based on AEW Revolution, we're still unsure as of right now.
Right. Should I
Or-
log butter her up, guys?
Well, that's a really good question. I mean, this is Majima we're talking about after all.
Kiryu-chan.
What about what says you in the chat? If I should go one, type one. If I should go two, type two.
If anything, I go with type 2.
Okay, so we have 1, 2. Metal.
Crap. You know what? Yeah, like 2, I guess.
Okay, so we got 2 for 2. Anyone in the chat?
Lay down the law, butter her up.
Guys, has anyone replied in the chat?
LPH did. He says 2.
Okay, so we got 3 for 2.
Lord Doom nor Starchild has said anything as of recent, so I'd say go ahead and butter her up.
Okay,
Yeah,
thanks, guys.
go
You're
for
welcome.
it.
Yeah, you're really smoking tonight, babe. I thought some new Idol singer watered in.
Yeah, that's more the Majima we know with that attitude.
Yeah.
So, that right? Then I take it back. What? So it was just flattery, huh? You wounded me, boss. Well, just go along with it, lady. Never ever cross Majima's lines.
Yeah.
I mean, this is Goro Majima we're talking about.
Yeah. I agree, Majima. It's time to get to the point.
This is idiotic. Yeah, it is.
We have 7 minutes left. Yes, please get to the point.
That should be like a screen cap. This is idiotic. Better get straight to the point.
Oh yeah.
Just like Adam Page in AEW, whenever his in-ring title cards show up, he always has something funny to say at the top of them. Like his most recent one, when they went up against the Lucha Brothers,
Yeah.
or Como de Cise, Yeehaw.
Or for some reason, the hashtag that's been trending when he wrestles Cowboy, you know what, Cowboy S.
Yes. He's definitely become one of my favorites in AEW.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Him, Darby Allin, and of course Cody Rhodes. But speaking of Cody Rhodes, I can't wait for him to beat MJF to a bloody pulp next Saturday.
I don't know which one's gonna be better, honestly, that match or the main one, Moxley versus Jericho.
Oh yeah. I mean, there are a lot of good matches coming out of that pay-per-view event. I mean, we got Dustin Rhodes versus Jake Hager. Jake Hager's first time wrestling too. That ought to be interesting. Darby Allin versus Sammy Guevara, I think.
Oh yeah, that's right. I'm not gonna lie, that reintroduction of Darby Allin this Wednesday was great.
Yes, it was.
I
And if
said
you want,
that was the best way to retool a wrestler like him, to be honest.
mm-hmm. And one of the reasons one of the reasons why Darby Allin has become one of my favorites in AEW is because of how innovative he is with his wrestling style, basically.
Yeah.
Like he's very fast and very athletic, and he's basically like a westernized version of New Japan Pro Wrestling with
Yeah.
how innovative they are with their wrestling matches. That type of agility or that type of athleticism, if you were to call it like that.
Right.
But yeah, that was a cool reintroduction back on Wednesday, and the other matches we have Kenny Omega and Adam Page versus the Young Bucks. So it's the elites fighting each other. So that's
Yeah.
pretty interesting. And of course we got John Moxley versus Chris Jericho, as well as Cody Rhodes versus MJF. So yeah, this looks to be a pretty good pay-per-view event
Oh yeah.
coming up. Which is something I hope that you will give us access to watch, at least watch the stream.
I'll try, dude.
Okay. Because that would definitely be a good one, if we were to do commentary tracks for
Oh, of
that
course,
night.
yeah. I'll try to find a way. Like I'm definitely ordering it for Bleacher
Pay per
Report.
view?
Yeah. Well, PPV slash Bleacher Report.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. And I think by next Saturday, hopefully John Moxley will no longer have his eye patch on him.
Right.
Because I think they said that his eye is supposed to be his right eye is supposed to be healed up by the time when Revolution comes about.
I'm really curious if, because of recent events, this is gonna be the event where the Yishin one shows up.
We can only
You can
hope.
only hope.
Because I wonder if it's gonna be
Exactly.
at the event itself or the post Dynamite after the event on the following Wednesday. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
You never know.
Okay, so since that interaction's done, I'm gonna go back up and save it, and we're gonna wrap up for tonight.
Yep. Sounds good.
Good.
And I'm currently typing in my links in the chat right now. So once I get around to plugging, then I could just post that, and then I could just say them from there.
Awesome. If I can save. Guess I can't walk back.
Oh no!
Let's see if there's another.
There's got to be a save point somewhere.
Yeah, there has to. Let's see.
Well, I guess you have to walk out the entrance. Because you can't go downstairs.
Right. Well, I mean, if worse comes to worse, I can just stop right here. Continue.
Yeah, and then you can find a save spot afterwards.
Yeah.
Why long face? Need to use the facilities? No, he's wearing black pants, so you can't really tell if he's went to the bathroom or not during his shift.
Right.
Just like the wrestling commentators, JR brought in that suggestion. If you're a wrestling commentator, make sure you're always wearing black pants while you commentate.
Because you never know what's gonna happen.
Right, and you can't go to the restroom while you're commentating.
Right.
That it is.
Go visit your pops. Only thing that matters right now, keeping this place running smooth. I'll throw as much money.
That's a problem. Airport now. Over customers placing orders now.
Oh no, is there another drunkard problem?
No, it sounds like it's something worse. It sounds like it's a customer who knows they can't pay for crap, but they're still ordering nonetheless.
Mm-hmm. About 4 million's worth of yen. Damn.
Damn.
So $40,000 of
Yeah.
a bill right there.
Yeah. Okay, well, since it's 7, like I said, we'll just continue where we left off next week for part
Okay.
5.
All right.
Why don't you go first, Kyle?
All right. Okay, so I posted my links in the chat there if you want to view them to your heart's content. I don't know why the Facebook link did not even show up. Oh, it's because I didn't include the colon. That's why. So I'll just go ahead and I'll fix that. But anyway, if you want to follow me on YouTube for my content, that's where you'll find me at. It's youtube.com/rpg reviews. That's where I work on my reviews, retrospectives, and all that other good jazz. Currently working on episode 11 of my Final Fantasy retrospective right now, which covers everything Final Fantasy 14, which I mentioned during the stream. It's coming along very nicely. Don't know when I'm going to be ready to get that episode up, but hopefully I'll have it up within about the next month or two somewhere. Definitely want to try to get it done before Final Fantasy VII Remake releases, but who knows if that's going to work or not. But
Right.
I'll have to see. Follow me through social media. Follow me through social media to keep up to date on all the goings-ons that are coming from me, which are facebook.com/rpg reviews and twitter.com/rpg reviews. I do have a Twitch page. Don't know when I'll be returning to Twitch since I'm busy working on my retrospective episode at this time, but follow me on twitch.tv/rpg reviews. And to see the archives of my live streams on YouTube from Twitch, you would want to go to youtube.com/rpg game riffers solo, which is now renamed to rpg livestream archives. And yeah, that's it for me. So looking forward to next week, whether we do this or watch AEW, or if we are, since we're already past the 4th episode of anything that we do of a Let's Play, hopefully we return to Fightcade, but who knows? But really looking forward to next week, nevertheless.
We'll go next, Metal.
Yeah, you know what? Why not? You can check me out on YouTube at Visible Ninja Dojo, where I try to host my live show Wednesdays at 9 p.m. Eastern. Had some technical issues this past week, and I'm working on sorting them out. But check us out. The stream archive's there too, so check us out. And of course, check out hero-club.com for all your hero news. It's been a exceptionally busy weekend, let's just say, because of Toy Fair 2020.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
It's been busy as well as some other stuff. So
Yeah.
come check out hero-club.com and follow us on Twitter at Hero Club for Life. That's the number 4.
Also, my condolences to you and Jerry the other night when you did that stream for the nothingness that was that gum
Yeah,
panel.
whole lot of nothing.
Yeah. Again, my condolences, dude.
Oh well.
As for me, you can follow me on twitter.com/Jeff. I usually do stream on Twitch, twitch.tv/Jeff, but because of similar, if not even more severe issues I have with Twitch, I've been streaming over at mixer.com. Mixer.com/Jeff. So look for my streams and my playthroughs over there. You can also find the archives on my YouTube channel, which I will include later in the chat. Also, we have obviously a Discord. You can follow it by clicking on the icon at the bottom of the video player located. It's the easiest way to get contact with all of us, myself, Friday Counts, RPG, as well as Visible Ninja here. And it's a better way to get in contact not only with us individually, but also to get into our schedules and what's going on with our, individual, contents.
Mm-hmm.
And also, since Jerry isn't here, you can follow him over at twitter.com/FighterCows. And for all the important information, the pinned tweet is the most important one to look forward. And
And there's the link. And there's the link to the Discord.
So please, if you want to join our server, there you go. Thank you very much, Kyle.
You're welcome.
As for Cal's streams, Tuesdays. It's Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, right?
Wait a minute, Jerry.
I think going forward, he said Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. Because I remember he said he was expanding.
I think he said every day of the week.
Yeah, starting, but like usually it's Tuesdays and Fridays.
Yeah, Tuesdays and Fridays. I don't think he's done any on Wednesdays, but Tuesdays and Fridays is when he does his streams. But yeah, going forward, going forward, he says he's going to try to branch out a lot more with streaming more fighting games on his channel.
So please look forward to that. And again, even though he streams usually on Tuesdays and Fridays, from what it sounds like going forward, he's going to be streaming almost, I feel like, every day, including the usual schedule, which is Friday with Shenmue. So look forward to that. Same time, I'm assuming, 4 p.m. over at twitch.tv/FighterCows.
And there's the link in the chat, too, for his Twitch page as well. So make sure you go follow him if you have not done so already.
Again, thank you very much, Kyle.
You're welcome.
As for me, I'm 16-Bit Jeff.
I'm Double RPG.
And I'm Visible Ninja.
And earlier, and even though Firehouse isn't here, you would like to say his two most famous words, Nimyo, Kanryo. Thank you again for joining us for part 4. Look forward to hopefully, most likely part 5, either next Saturday or the following Saturday. Again, we don't know what the schedule is, but look forward to it by following us on social media and just keeping up to date. Again, see you guys next week for whatever we're doing.
All right. Peace out, everybody. See you next time.